If you're gonna bail to our channel. All right, we got a bunch of stuff up there. Somehow we've survived over 150 episodes. Who knew that was going to happen? Go to our channel. You'll enjoy it, I promise. And we're back to our regular scheduled programming. All right, so let's go to a trade here. Let's see if anybody recognizes this one. So, 16-team super flex, tiered PPR. There's a point per carry element here. Start 11. You got side A is Aaron Rodgers, Romeo Doubs, Rex Burkhead, and the 23 third. Side B is Calvin Ridley, Jahan Dotson, a 23 first, let's call it mid, and a 23 second. Shane, what are your thoughts on this trade?
So it's Aaron Rodgers for Jahan Dotson and the 23 first mid. Man, 16-team super flex. It's really hard to let go of Aaron Rodgers for that. If my team is completely butt cheeks, I could understand doing it, though I wouldn't be happy. I'm probably leaning the Aaron Rodgers and Romeo Doubs side.
Scott, what side are you taking on this one?
Man, I think I almost got to go the pick side and the players. Rodgers, he's old, he's washed, man.
Whoa.
So what's funny is, Shane, do you even know that this is the trade that Scott and I made just a couple days ago or whatever in the league that you're in, the listener league?
Oh, no, yeah, I definitely knew that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so Scott and I made this trade. My team is kind of butt cheeks, as Shane would say, a little bit trash canny. So I gave up A-Rod, Romeo Doubs, Rex Burkhead, and the 23 third, and got this package. We'll see what happens, but wanted to throw that up there. Apparently, people like hearing our trades too. So let's move on.
Trade.
Oh, you made a trade.
Well, let me just add to this trade. This was one of those startups. Anyone that's in this league, shout out. This was a super, super tough auction startup. 16 teams.
Monster.
I loaded up on receiver. I ended up with 12 top 60 receivers, including Calvin Ridley, including Jahan Dotson. And I have, I think, a couple others like David Bell I have on my bench, and I was banking because, you guys remember the quarterback prices were insane. It was impossible for anybody to get more than two. And a couple people only had one. And even the running back prices were insane. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to load up on receivers and see if I can find deals later on using receivers. And that's what this was. I know we countered a couple times back and forth. And you definitely needed Jahan Dotson in the trade. So I think it was just one of those where the value was probably you were one of the few teams that would have given up a quarterback. Let's just say that. But I have three now. Yeah. I have three top probably 15 quarterbacks now. And I think in a position where if I can just get by at running back, I just hopefully have the advantage at quarterback most of my head-to-head matchups, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, this will be an interesting one because I normally would not give up a first plus Dotson for Aaron Rodgers. So
yeah, this was a beast of an auction. If you've ever been in an auction, you got to pay attention. I started off good. I had Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, Breece Hall for decent prices, and then forgot to pay attention. Then all of a sudden came back, and you've got Jalen Reagor on the board that I can bid on. So I was like, all right, time to blow her up. Okay, let's hide that. Let's move on to this one right here, and then we'll go to the comments. So 12-team super flex PPR start 9 gave Kenny Pickett in a 23 second, early to mid, got Hollywood and Ryan Tannehill. So I remember in the comments, this guy said that he was aiming to compete next year. He's loaded with 23 picks, aiming to compete next year. So what do you think about this trade?
To me, this is definite. Give me the Hollywood and Tannehill side. I'll just take my chances on Tannehill staying a starter for another year. He's probably got 2 years, could be 1 year, just depending on how things flip this year with the Titans. But I don't think it's a bad pick just to get Hollywood for Kenny Pickett, and essentially you're getting Tannehill back. In a start 9, I like the Hollywood Tannehill side all day.
Yeah, I'll take Hollywood and Tannehill. I hate this trade. This trade disgusts me, and I would actually probably go back to the drawing board and start over rather than making this deal. And I'm not saying that just to be a dick, partly. But also because remember, you don't have to make every trade that comes across your Gmail. Like you can hit no, and you can counter, or you could just hit no. Because it's kind of one of those where I'd be like, let me see what else I can do.
Yep. Shane, you're the best. You're not the worst or the D word. This is a PG-13 show here, all right?
No, it's 10:30, baby.
Oh, it is. This is late night.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a super chat from Gigi. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And Shane said that he starred the question. Whoops, didn't attach the message. Love the show. I'm finally tuned in. Welcome. 10 team, half PPR, super flex, start 9. Mahomes and Cook for Lance. So Mahomes and Dalvin Cook for Lance, Brees, DK, and 223 firsts. His and mine. I'm rebuilding and needed my first back. It feels good. First off, it feels good when you get your first back when you're rebuilding, right? Isn't that like a beautiful little feeling there?
Yeah, it's just, you know, when you're rebuilding, you generally don't want to get running backs.
Yeah. But so yeah, okay. 10 team, half PPR, super flex, start 9. Do you want Mahomes, Dalvin Cook, or Lance, Brees, DK, and 223 firsts?
I'm going to assume that the rest of his roster was putrid besides Mahomes and Cooks. I hate packaging two pieces like this in one deal, but given the choice, I like the Lance and Brees and DK and 23 first side, to be honest with you. It's a lot of risk. You know what I mean? If Lance is nothing, he's nothing. But I like it. You know, at worst, you got if Lance turns out to be nothing, you still have 223 firsts to try to get yourself a good quarterback.
I mean, I assume that's Dalvin Cook, not James Cook. But even if
it's got to be Dalvin Cook,
there's no need for that.
I'll just say if it's James Cook, then you throw in a fourth, and that about equivalent to James Cook. But no, I think the other thing here, it's a 10 team. It's a 10 team. It's not as important as we get a lot of 10 team questions. The 10 team super flex, it's more important to have the quarterback advantage, but it's less important, I think, to have like 2 of the top 6 or top 8 quarterbacks, only because the advantage is spread out amongst less teams. Right. If you have 2 of the top 6 quarterbacks in a 12 team, there's no doubt there are 2 or 3 teams that are rolling out, dog doo-doo at quarterback.
Yeah, like Carson Wentz and Jared Goff out there.
Right. And you have a positional advantage at probably both your quarterback and your super flex spot. In a 10-teamer, there might be still an advantage, but there's most likely every team has at least 2 quarterbacks. There's a better chance every team has at least 2 like passable quarterbacks, and a lot of teams might have 3. So I just think this is basically 4 firsts for Mahomes, and that's if you count Lance as only like what 1.5 ish. And so even if you wash Brees and Dalvin Cook, and I think we would all add at least a second, if not more, to Dalvin Cook to get Brees Hall. Like this is 4+ firsts to move off of Mahomes in a 10 team.
Yep.
So if Lance hits and he can move, even if he moves Brees Hall and another first and goes and gets, Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson, like he has a better quarterback room and 2 or 3 extra firsts to play with. So I love this trade. This is like a dream trade. That's how you build
dynasties.
This is a dream trade in a start 9. If you're rebuilding, his team goes to like contender next year if Lance hits, honestly.
Yep.
Well done. Yep. Well done.
Love it. Love it. And thanks for the super chat. Appreciate that. Okay. So we'll hide that one here. Let's go to another one of the comments. I'm going to be sloppy, by the way. I'm like ridiculous at this time of night. I'm normally in bed doing like Wordle and responding to some emails. Okay, so let's go to this one. Alfredo Gonzalez, 12 team, super flex, half PPR, start 9. Gave Mac Jones, Brees Hall, J.K. Dobbins, got Matthew Stafford, A.J. Dillon, Nick Chubb, and a 24 second.
Well, I think this is pretty straightforward. It's basically 3 for 3, same positions. The extra second is on the big get side. Man, I think with where Dobbins is, this is really just how much do you value Brees Hall, right? How much more above Nick Chubb and A.J. Dillon do you value Brees Hall? I'd probably lean slightly the Mac, Brees, and Dobbins side, but easily I could see the other side being the one that smashes. If Dobbins doesn't get back, then But I probably lean the Mac, Brees, and Dobbins side. Maybe that's a little recency bias on how Stafford looked the other night and what I think Mac Jones can be. I guess my worry about Mac Jones is he ever going to be in a position where the team knows how to surround him with a lot of weapons? And if he's not, then he's never going to be as good as Stafford. So this is a pretty straightforward trade, I think. I'd lean just the Mac side a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just taking the Brees side because there's only one elite player in this trade, and it's him. And then it's a bunch of other he's going to hurt the Nick Chubb people, a bunch of other guys. And I don't say that because Chubb isn't talented. I say that because Chubb just unfortunately doesn't get those high leverage scoring opportunities like touchdowns and targets. So yeah, give me the Brees Hall side. I'm not in love with Mac Jones either, but maybe I could trade Mac Jones and Dobbins and go get a real quarterback back.
Real quarterback back. Okay, let's hide that one. And I think I saw we got another super chat here from our boy. Where is it? Heavy Kevy. Thank you very much, as always. Okay, so 12-team Superflex PPR. Tight end premium is 1.5, start 10. And this is that Empire League. Gave Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams, Alvin Kamara. Some giant trade here. Got Saquon Barkley, T. Higgins, Davis Mills, 23 first and second, projected early to mid. Other QBs are Lamar and Deshaun Watson.
All right, well, I'll break it down like this. I think Barkley has a slight lean over Kamara, but you could probably tell me it's close to a wash. Maybe the difference is the second, but he got the second going back the other way, so that's a win. I think this comes down to me. He's got Lamar. He's got Deshaun. What's he going to do with his other QB spot? I would have personally loved to see a Deshaun, Lamar, Dak quarterback room and just kind of focus on waiting for Deshaun to get back and ride Javonte and Kamara. I mean, I'm not sure what his receiver room looks like, but I'm guessing it's probably a little bit weak in terms of starters, and he was overweight on running backs. Yeah, this one's it's decent value, but I think he probably has to make another trade or two to get his roster back to where, especially if it's Empire, right? I'm assuming he's got to win to get the Empire pot. So I think I'm gonna have to go against it, Heavy Kevy. I think I would have stuck with where you were and find a way to get a receiver a different way.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed that now you gotta go get a quarterback. But look, I enjoy work. Hard work makes for a good payoff. I'm gonna take Barkley over Kamara. I'm taking Higgins over Javonte. Even in an Empire, look, and if things don't work out this year and I don't win the title, at least I still have Higgins. Then, yeah, I'll have to figure out the quarterback because I'm probably going to use Deshaun in the first and go get me Justin Herbert.
Kenny flip Mills and the first and a second and go get like Russ Wilson or something like that.
I'm sure he could do something similar like that, but I'm not a fan of waiting for Deshaun in a Empire. But
yeah, let us know how that shapes out, because I'm guessing he probably tried to move Deshaun instead of Dak, maybe, and the other person wanted Dak. So yeah, just follow up. But that's a risky trade. See how it shakes out.
Yeah,
risk is fun sometimes. I'm not going to lie.
Risk is fun sometimes.
Oh, I made a trade last night.
Go for it. What's up?
Okay, so start 10 Superflex. Baby tight end premium 1.5, so not a real tight end premium, but we like to pretend that it is. I'm gonna look it up because I don't know trades off the top of my head, but it's in the Ultimate Dynasty Podcast League. Made this trade. Here you go. I made this trade with Tyler Gunther. I gave up. Ready? I gave up Kyler Murray, Jahan Dotson, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Christian Watson. I got back Trey Lance, AJ Brown, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Omodeus Akakeas.
Explain yourself in those last two pieces.
He needed to cut.
No, to be able to make the trade go through. Yeah. I got you.
I said, all right, just give me two players, any two players. So essentially, I gave up the 3 rookie wide receivers for AJ Brown, and then took the D value on Kyler or Lance.
So basically, you gave up a potential rookie receiver that's going to have a prime spot to smash this weekend with Aaron Rodgers, the number one option on the Giants that could catch 90 balls this year.
Oh, wait, we like Christian Watson and Wan'Dale Robinson now?
I
that's a start 10.
Yeah.
Shane?
Yeah.
No, I'm just giving you shit. I see
Yeah.
the logic of trying to get hammers. When we do these roster reviews, I always know Shane is going to say, let me come in and try to get as many hammers as I can.
Yeah.
What do I
Yeah.
have to give up? You know, it's just like keep throwing bills on the table until the person takes my offer. That's what this was. So I respect it. Shane has aggressively been pivoting to Lance. And I think I even saw in Shane's Patreon chat, if Lance doesn't hit, he's screwed.
Oh yeah, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Dead in the water, bro.
Yeah. So real quick, let's address the roster reviews. So they've been going awesome. We get a lot of questions about them. Let me just pop on the screen here to show you what it looks like. So I created a little overlay. This is what it looks like when Shane and Scott are doing roster reviews. We throw up the roster in between the two of them, and they knock it out. They research your squad, and they do a breakdown of it. So if you're interested in these roster reviews, hit us up. We do charge for these, okay, to try to keep the lights on with this channel. And, you know, Shane needs a nice coffee every once in a while. So we do charge for them. But if you want to hit us up, there are a couple ways of doing so. You can, if I find the banner, you can email us at dynastytradesin5@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter at tradesin5. All right. So I just wanted to cover that. Roster reviews have been going awesome. Great feedback. We've got people coming back for another review because they like Shane and Scott so much. Big shocker there, right? So yeah, quick plug on that.
And you always get some bonus, like just Shane and I just BSing. You always get some nonsense back and forth because we're just firing back at each other. So it's fun. We enjoy doing them.
They're a lot of fun. Okay. Let's go to another one here. Let's go Eric S. 12 team, start 9, super flex, 1.5 tight end premium. Fields, 223 firsts, and Bateman or Justin Herbert.
Shane is so excited to answer this one.
No, I mean, look, this is the balls. I like both sides of this because if I'm the guy getting Herbert, I'm going F you.
Yeah.
I'm pulling and throwing it on the table, and I'm just going to beat you to death every week with Herbert and what I'm assuming is also another monster quarterback, right? But if I'm the guy getting the package, I go, look, Fields could be Herbert, not as a pure quarterback, but as a scorer with the rushing ability. And if those two first, you know, that would just be gravy, to be quite honest with you. And Bateman could be a wide receiver too. I'm going to win this deal. So this is all one of those trades you make. Like, how do I play the game? Do I like safety, or do I like just sometimes I'm like balls to the wall and let me see what happens? I really do like either side. That said, I'm probably going to lean the Herbert side.
Well, and I got to give a shout out to my co-host on America's Game, Eric Vanek. We talked about this the other day. Sending 23 firsts at this point during the year. It's got to be for targeted players. It's got to be players that are in efficient offenses that have a chance to gain value or stay insulated. They can't be, hey, let me throw a first for, you know, Keenan Allen or something like that, just because I need somebody that I think could be a wide receiver, top 15 wide receiver in my lineup. So I think this is one where you could almost cancel out one of those firsts for Bateman. Like in a vacuum, I think that's not a terrible move. And then it's a 23 first in Fields for Herbert. I mean, everyone in the chat, I think you guys make that deal as a smash. So I love that trade. Great trade to get Herbert.
Great trade indeed. Okay, so Nerdworks Media, love my roster review. Thank you for the super chat. It's a start 9, 12-team Superflex PPR, lottery picks for non-playoff teams. Gave Amari Cooper and a 23 first, got A.J. Brown. I have 3 more firsts.
Start 9, this is kind of what I just said. You know, like if you can buy A.J. Brown, I mean, sure, you're throwing in Amari Cooper, but what's he trading for right now? Mid-second-ish, and he's not probably that inspiring of an asset given, you know, may not be with the Browns next year. If you look at his cap hit next year, it's pretty high, and the Browns are up against it because of the way they structured their deals. So I think this is essentially like a first and a second for A.J. Brown. I don't hate it. The only downside of making these deals is what could I have bought later on with my first? But if you're confident, especially in a start 9, this might be the best player you can get. So don't hate it. Nice trade.
Yep. All right. Thank you very much for the super chat as always. Okay, let's Let's go to a question here. So I asked in the community tab. So I always post like these threads and ask for questions and trades in the community tab, and I do my best to grab some from there. Here, can you hide that for me while I'm pulling this up, Scott? Okay, so there was a question. I asked for some questions to go with tonight too, and this one was good. All right, so what if we're wrong on the 23 class? Bijan gets hurt, Bryce, Richardson don't come out. Thoughts on taking the other side of the bet in some leagues, right? So punting 23 and going to 24. Could 2023 be a process over players' blind spot?
Yeah, I'll take it. I think that we're already to a point where if you said I want to sell my 23 first because it's worth more in the season than any first I've ever held in a prior year or in a other dynasty league, I'm not going to say that's a bad process. So I think this question can be answered by the reason to be so high on the 23 first is exactly what you're asking here. It's because the value of them is literally top 40 startup players you can buy straight up for firsts in some circumstances. I mean, we just saw a trade. Someone traded basically a first and a throw-in receiver for A.J. Brown. You know, a first for Rashad Bateman, who I think a lot of people would put in their top 18, top 15 dynasty receivers with, I think, the potential to jump even higher if he has a good year because of his profile, because of the fact he's the number one on an offense. Like, he has like a very unique position to where his value could explode, and you can get him for a single first in a lot of places, not every league. But I think that's the exact answer to this question. Is the reason you collected him for 2 years was because people are talking about Bijan, because people are talking about, like, I think there's a really good shot. Richardson looked absolutely horrible tonight.
Yep.
But it didn't really matter because if he comes out, it's all going to be about the traits, the fantasy traits. That's what people are talking about with Levis, with Richardson, Bryce Young, Stroud, the running backs, whatever. And you guys know my thoughts on receivers. Every year there's going to be receivers that are drafted high. Whether you love them or whether you don't, we're going to get Garrett Wilsons in every class. We're going to get Sky Moores in every class, George Pickens in every class. And that just occupies another slot to where it makes those picks valuable. So I think this is exactly the answer, is if you want to sell your first because you can get more this year than you ever could, that's exactly why you wanted to hold on to it or you wanted to collect them in the first place. So yeah, how many times on roster reviews, Shane, do we say the roster you put up earlier, Clay, is the example, had 523 firsts.
Yep.
It's probably bad process to go, this class is full of Hall of Famers. Let me pick 5 rookies.
No.
It's probably, let me shop a couple of those and see if I can hit a cornerstone quarterback and then still make 1 or 2 of those rookie picks. That's how you use them. So good question, but I think this is more about, we're already there. The value on the picks exists.
And that's the thing. So we were getting criticized a little bit. I don't know, because we've been talking about the 23 class before the 2022 draft ever took place, like way before that. And people were criticizing us, right? And I get it, because look, there's that narrative like, oh, well, people always say every draft class is great, which isn't true. People don't always say that. Like, I've been playing Dynasty for 6 years, but just so you know, I'm in over 50 leagues. So like cumulatively, my lifespan is about 3,000 eons in Dynasty. But in the 6-7 years that I've been playing it, there's been at least 3 classes that we've gone, oh, this isn't good. And one of them's turned out pretty well. One's been awful. One we'll see. At no point during this process, except for the year that someone had Ezekiel Elliott and it was going to be Zeke, could you have traded a first-round pick for a top 5 dynasty wide receiver like A.J. Brown? Like, think about what you're trading. You're trading for a top 5 dynasty wide receiver. And even when you do that, I'm still a little like, oh, I don't know if you should give that up. But like Scott said, that this is why you accrue them, right? If you want to make the picks, great. If you want to use them in season, because people like Scott and myself, and we're not the only ones, but, have hyped up the 23 class to such the point that the value is still going to go up, and you want to just trade them away because you don't trust picks, you can do that in season too.
Well, and I'll add this. Of my 48 leagues that are not campus to Canton or super deep devy to where the picks are just not viewed the same way, at one point I had 112 first round picks in 2023 out of 48 leagues. I have 96 now. So in the span of about 4 months, I have traded 16 23 firsts. So I'm trading them away. Like, it's not, hey, let me hold on to all of those. But a lot of times it's like the trade earlier. Do I want to give the 2 firsts right now plus Fields to lock in Bateman and Herbert? Probably, because I think Herbert's going to be by far the best player that ever becomes available to me in my league using those picks. But if it's just, do I want to give a first for Devontae Adams? He might smash. But is there a better deal that can help me in 4 weeks or 6 weeks? That's the opportunity cost that you're holding on to if you decide not to move the pick, but the process doesn't change. So it's an interesting thing. We're going to continue to follow this, and I don't think we're going to want to be overweight on 23 first necessarily. The last thing I'll say is this. Part of the strategy was if you can accumulate a lot of them over the last 2 years, as you start getting more information on where they're going to be, can you mask your late firsts and trade those and get a guy like Bateman for what's going to be the 111 or 112 next year? That's where you win the trade. You lose the trade is when you bet on your own team and then your team tanks. You trade for a couple win now players and you gave up the 103 and you have nothing to show for it. That's the mistake you want to avoid. So good discussion. I'm sure this will come up on more live streams as we get closer to the end of the season.
Yep. And let's just cover this real quick. This was a follow-up to that question. If someone wanted to take that route, right, and go to punt to 24, is this fair? You give up a late 23 first and you get a 23 second and a random 24 first. Would you do a move like that now? Would you be okay with that if you wanted to go ahead and do the punt? Or are you waiting a little bit? I guess it depends on what your league thinks about the 23s, right? You want to make sure you're getting full value out of them.
I'm still going to hold on to that 23. If I want to make this deal in 6,
you'll be able to.
Yeah, I don't know how many months April is, but it's some months away. I'll be able to make that deal at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to the videos I did on the mid first, early first, late first, this was one of the discussions was the difference between, I think, the 111, 112 and the 203, 204. It's going to be very minimal next year. You're probably looking at a big chunk of receivers, which typically it flatlines when you get outside of the top 2 or 3 receivers in the class. So if you're really confident that that's like a playoff pick, I don't hate this trade. Again, this trade is, what am I giving up by trading my 23 first for this versus what I could get midseason? But I don't hate it. That's a decent bet.
All right. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat here. So, hey guys, 10 team, half PPR, start 9, trade Lance and a 23 first, which he thinks is going to be a 109, 110, let's say, for Kyler. Other QBs are Lamar, Tua, and Fields.
I feel like obviously this is a much smaller deal than the Herbert one, but it's the same concept, right? If I feel like my team is the one that's going to be able to just beat people, but I feel like I can't trust Trey Lance because I don't know what he's going to be because he's only had 3 starts or whatever it was, then I'm fine with this. And if I was trying to cash out on Lamar, well, I'd probably want a little more back. But so I do like this, giving up Lance in the pick. And now I need you to go get rid of Tua. But that's
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical of this because is this the type of trade that you had to make right now? This goes back to the conversation we just had. Yep. Like you have Lamar, Tua, Fields, and Lance. Was it that pertinent that in a 10 team you go and have to upgrade to Kyler right now? I mean, I get it, but I mean, he's got those other quarterbacks. I would almost roll with the 4 and
So here's where the problem lies, right? So I tried this technique in a league, and I said, well, I'm going to get all these quarterbacks, and I'm just going to hold them, and people are going to come, and they're going to have to buy them from me. And well, they didn't. And after holding on to Trey Lance for a year, I ended up trading him at what I would consider a cheaper cost than what I thought I was going to get for him. That's my fault. I didn't notice down at the bottom he's got Lamar and Fields already. Like, oh, he has Lamar. I noticed that, but like the Fields, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would have even been better with like Lance and Fields for Kyler, to be quite honest with you, plus something back, or Tua and Fields, Tua and Lance. I think I don't know if he tried that or if she tried that, but I would have tried that.
Yeah, that's a rough. I definitely think that's not how I want to spend my first in just to get an upgrade at quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, especially if I'm holding those 4. It's just it's decent value, but it's just one of those probably process trades that I would have kept in my back pocket for a later time.
All right, let's thank you very much again for the super chat. Okay, hide the current comment. Let's go to this one here. So Superflex start 11, 12 team, half PPR, or I'm sorry, half tight end premium, half point tight end premium. So PPR 1.5 tight end premium. I now have 9 2023 firsts, 4 24 firsts, 3 25s, Watson, Mac Jones, Jameson, London, rings off a couple more names, Kyle Pitts, and no one else noticeable. How are you attacking the market this season?
Well,
roster review.
I mean, that's part of it.
Yes.
Short,
Yeah.
yeah, roster review, looking at the rest of the team, but the fact that you just noted one person that I feel comfortable, and I love Ayuk, I love London, JMO, whatever, and obviously I love Watson. But out of all the guys you named, there's one guy on that list that I know is a difference maker and is going to do that this year. It's Pitts. So I'd probably, a lot of times I'd go, well, I got 9 first. Let me go trade them all away. But I'd probably need a little more information. I probably won't go that route right now.
Yeah, hit us up. We don't want to punt this, but we need some more context behind it, some more background to be able to give you an intelligent response. So hit us up, dynastytradesin5 at gmail.com or at tradesin5 on the Twitter machine. So we'll hit hide there. Okay, let's go to Shane Gibson, 10-team Superflex PPR, traded James Cook, Shane's favorite. Look at him close his eyes every time someone says James Cook. It's fantastic. Traded James Cook, Chris Godwin, got Garrett Wilson, and a late 2023 first. Thinks it's going to be 111, 112.
Yeah, I do this. I mean, I like the guy, Garrett Wilson, Godwin. It's close enough value wise. And look, as much as I like James Cook wouldn't have been a first round pick in the 2023 draft. He'd probably be bottom of the second, to be quite honest with you. So I'll take Garrett Wilson in the pick.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is a little bit biased because this was probably done before the Thursday night game. Maybe not. But even before, I think I would have taken because again, that's still a random 2023 first. I know he's projecting it to be 111, 112. It's still a random first. It still could end up being, top 8, top 9. And Garrett Wilson, I mean, this is the perfect wide receiver pivot where you basically extract value between the two receivers. You're giving up the quote unquote downgrade at receiver. It's weird because it's not even a guy I think is guaranteed to smash while Garrett Wilson gets up to speed, So I mean, I'll take give me the 23 first and Garrett Wilson all day. Great trade, Mr. Shane Gibson.
Great trade indeed. Newsflash. $5 super chat. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. 8-team Superflex PPR start 14. All right, there we go. Right. So it's an 18, but at least they're starting 14. Right.
Yep. So that, how many starters that is overall in the league? I do.
Uh-oh. Advanced math coming.
How much, Shane? Do it quick. Let's hear
102.
Wrong.
All right. I tried.
That's 8 times 10 plus 8 times 4. That would be 112, Shane.
112.
Close.
I was close. All right. Well,
Equivalent to about a 12-team start 9.3. So, yeah, it's still shallow, but still applies. 12-team start 9 equivalent.
All right.
We'll get them next time, Shane. Olave and a 23 first for T. Higgins. What are your thoughts on the format, generally speaking? Okay. Well, we just talked about it a bit.
So regardless of the number of starters there are in the overall league, right? I still need, as a human being, to start 14 of them. I need to capture 14 of those good players. So I'm going to take Olave in the 23 first. I like Higgins a lot, but I've really come around on Olave too. So I'm going to take the 23 first and Olave.
Shane, I mean, it's your math skills though. It's an 8-team. So again, we don't have the teams.
I know.
But I'm guessing it's almost like go to your 12-team league, Shane, and eliminate 4 of the teams and spread, basically split the rosters and give each other team half a roster.
Monsters.
So I get it. You want to start 2. I don't hate the trade. Again, this comes down to, is this the best you could have done with your 23 first? That's what it is. It's a 12-team start 9 equivalent. I get it. You have to start 14. But you're overpaying for a starter you know is going to be locked in your lineup. That's what it is.
Yep.
Was that the best deal you could have gotten? Could you have added a second instead of Olave and got the same trade? If so, then that's more of a win, I think. But I get doing it. You're trying to pay for, if this was a 12-team start 9, Shane, you would say trade for hammers.
Yeah.
Trade 2 to get 1 hammer, and that's basically what he's trying to do. So I don't hate the trade. It just comes down to the opportunity cost of what else could you have done with the first. But think about that before you trade a pick. But not a bad deal, newsflash. Thanks you for the super chat.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's hide that one there. Okay. I love how Shane must have starred this. It's from Mr. Padilla, who we talked to a lot in the comments. All it says is, I like Shane sign.
I don't know how that got there.
Hey, how did that get there? Maybe Scott did that.
It was not me. It was definitely
Shane did it. Okay, all right. Confirmed. Okay, strategy question. For a 12-team super flex, how valuable is it to tier up from a solid QB2? This is a great question. So like the Kirk Cousins to Mac Jones range to a QB1. So Kyler.
Okay.
That hurts.
I know exactly what he's going to say. I'm just waiting for it.
There's a couple different things going on here.
Let me finish it for people who can't see this. Let me finish the full question here. How valuable is it to tier up from the Kirk Cousins of the world to Murray, Hurts, Dak, etc. if you already have an elite QB?
Okay, first, Kirk and Dak Prescott are exactly the same dude. Kirk is actually a QB1, not an elite QB1, but he's a QB1. He's in the same tier as Dak scoring wise. They're the same dude. So that's first. You got to make sure you know that those two are the same guy. Tua, whatever. I'm not even going to get into it. And Mac is a QB3, to be quite honest with you. I know he's a QB. What was QB 19 last year? But a QB 19 is no better than what was QB 20, 22. He wasn't high.
He was bad, but
yeah,
he's a rookie. I think your point is there's a big difference between going from Mac Jones to Jalen Hurts than there is Kirk Cousins to Dak Prescott.
Because there is no difference going from Kirk to Dak Prescott. It's the same picture. Anywho, in a 12-team super flex, I always want to build through my quarterbacks and my tight ends, right? At least that's what my heart seems to be drawn to. But I will say, after several experiences this summer, I don't want to do it at the complete cost of the rest of my roster, because even though it's nice that my 2 starting quarterbacks could give me 80 points a week and a high week, they're not going to do that every week, and they're going to give me closer to 60. And then I'm going to need still another 60 to 70 points to win that week. And when the rest of your roster is trash cans because you went and overpaid for quarterbacks, you can feel it. So I don't know how to quantify how valuable it is, but again, it's going to depend upon your roster and what you have. Like if you have assets, then you can do it. If you don't have the assets to do it and you're going to be asset poor after it and you make the deal and you're literally looking at, like I had a team that was Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, and then I was starting 4 rookie wide receivers. And my running backs were Boston Scott and something like Amir Abdullah. You know what I mean? Like it's great. Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts are going to give me weeks where they give me 80 points. It's just, unfortunately, the rest of my roster is going to have many weeks where they give me 30 points and I'm going to lose badly still.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this just comes down to, again, another thing that comes into this is how many starters are there. If you think about how many starters, if it's start 9 versus start 13, that's 4 more shots in a given week to where someone else can make up and chip away at your quarterback advantage. So I think in the shallower leagues, upgrading even on the margins at quarterback is more important. If you can go from Mac Jones to Kyler Murray in a start 9, you're probably making up 8 to 10 points. That is a whole nother flex spot in some weeks. And there's only 9 starters. So if you have Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson, there's the weak teams only have like 7 other players where they have to smash you. It's very hard to gain 3 points per running back, per wide receiver, per flex. So if you can get that quarterback advantage in a shallow league, it's worth overpaying to the extent where you at least have replacement value players, not Amir Abdullah, Boston Scott, and 4 rookie receivers. Then you're just taking a bath at every other skill spot. Great. Your quarterbacks outscore everyone by 20. You lose by 40 in your skill spot. So just think about you got to look at the number of starters too before you even look at the upgrade at quarterback.
So I just put the ticker on the screen. If you guys wouldn't mind, the 128 eyeballs that I see on my screen, 127. They're probably going to count down as I'm talking. I'll stop talking soon. Please look down and hit the like if you'd be so kind. We'd appreciate that. YouTube algorithm likes it. We like it. Shane likes it. You know.
Yeah,
please do
there's,
that.
and I'm just looking at the YouTubes right now. The likes are
Yeah.
severely underliked. And
Ooh.
hey, and for me, just if you could, go ahead and share. Just share this with everyone. Just share. There's a little share function. Whatever, your MySpace, the Twitters, TikToks, the Grams.
Yeah, hit us up on MySpace too. I didn't mention that. Okay, let's go to some more chats here. Okay. There's some fun. There's some funny things in here that I'm trying to sort through. Okay, let's go to the starts. Loved my recent roster review. Well worth the cost, I promise. So 12 team, half PPR, start 9, Superflex. Traded Najee, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, a 25 first. Got Breece Hall, Cortland Sutton, a 23 first, a 24 third. I'm contending. What do you think?
So he got the much better running back. He got Sutton and Wilson. Look, Sutton's probably worth more, so I'll just admit it and say it. Sutton's worth more than Garrett Wilson right now, and more is expected of him. 23 first. I look at the 23 first. Basically, you paid Watson to move up 2 years to get an additional first. So I'm fine with this deal. I like this deal. You're gonna have growing pains though when Breece isn't getting the touches that Najee's getting through the first 3 or 4 weeks, but that'll pass.
Yeah, I like this trade. I mean, I think
Yep.
you basically went laterally from Najee to Breece. I mean, the value is a little bit different. Najee is like probably a hammer touch-wise for the next 2 years. Breece, profile. But then you get essentially Sutton for Garrett Wilson, which, I mean, I would do that. Even though I like Garrett Wilson, I mean, Sutton has a shot at a top 12 season, I think, with his quarterback efficiency. And then, man, Christian Watson in a 25 first for a 23. That's like a dream, Shane. That's like,
yeah.
That's like creating an imaginary friend and then like making it a real friendship,
There's no such thing as 2025. I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
2025. I can't wait till we get closer to 2025.
I'm gonna love that
and
class.
Shane's like, get your 2025 first.
Well, I know this much. I know the 24 class is going to be good. I forget which class Singleton's in. Whichever class he's in.
That's 2025. So you better start collecting them now. We've seen some listeners starting to collect 2025 picks.
Oh yeah.
And we get a lot of. I know Shane doesn't think it's a real pick, but it exists. I have 3 of them. I have 4.
And honestly, now that I realize that Singleton's first year eligible and the other players are going to be in it, it's actually going to be not a bad class. But look, 2025 is too far away for me to worry about.
Yeah. We'll get there when we get there. Hopefully, Dynasty Trades and 5 will still be around. We'll see. What do you think?
We'll have sub channels at that point.
We'll have. So will we?
Yeah.
All right, we'll see. Robert Newton has a question for us. 10 team, half PPR, start 8. Contender in 1 to 2 years. Trade Mixon and a late 23 first. Get Javonte Williams and a mid 23 second.
I'm cool with it.
I'm not.
I'm keeping the Mixon and the first.
Interesting.
If I'm not contending in a year or 2, I'm not going to trade for another running back, right?
Contender in 1 to 2 years. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm not giving up my 23 first. Look, I'm not giving up Mixon in the 23 first, no matter where I'm at in my roster construction at this point for Javonte in the second. Mixon could outscore Javonte this year, even if I'm competing this year, and there's a good chance that he does. And clearly, we know we want a first over a second because 1 is greater than 2. So I don't like this, and I could have used that first for something else. So I don't want to do this. So hopefully he hasn't made this trade yet. I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I guess this leads to a kind of a deeper conversation. Someone posted a question about warp. We'll get to that later in the show, but it just comes down to, what can we learn from a guy like Javonte Williams? I mean, we'll see what happens in his second year, but what can we learn from him? What can we learn from his value track and where it went to where it's gone now to where it will go if he is just like, if Javonte has Joe Mixon's career, you'll say that's a successful player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet here you are. making the same trade and getting a pick upgrade. So I get it.
Okay, let's see. Mr. Padilla. Do you guys actually have your MySpace up still? No, we do not.
I actually did try to log. Oh wait, I do log. I will say this: I share podcasts to it because it's a music space now. It's like a music thing. So I throw podcasts on there. Yeah. I share podcasts on there. I have no idea if anyone ever listens to them.
Oh, so another thing on that, and I can put up the cheesy banner as well coming on the bottom of the screen, but we're back on the Instagram and the TikTok, baby. Liam, our Studley editor, who does the ridiculous editing that you see on some of our shows, he is now going to help us make some reels. So we're back on TikTok and Instagram. So give us a follow there. And holy TikTok trolls, Batman! I ran into some good ones after one of the reels was posted. What we were told that choosing Cortland Sutton over Mike Evans in Dynasty is the worst take that they had ever heard. So that's dramatic, right?
So they don't play Dynasty. That's their way of saying I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think that was part of the problem. And Tyler, I don't know if Tyler's on here right now or can like chime in, but Tyler was going comment by comment saying, "Guys, it's Dynasty. Guys, it's Dynasty." So thank you very much, Tyler, if you're listening. Okay, yeah. So follow us on the Tik and the Talk. Let's go back to let's go to this one here. Thoughts on the forgotten receiver going forward, Calvin Ridley. Real quick. This is Joe Bear.
He put his correct name prior to the show. I jumped into the waiting room and he told me how to properly say his name, but I already forget. So, hey, Bobby Bear.
Oh, Maxfire Fantasy. Javante is going to explode. What are your thoughts on Calvin Ridley? Let's go back to that real quick.
Whatever. Can I get a second? Or can I basically? I'd pay a second for him, or if I can get a second for him, he's gone. But largely, I've just forgotten about him, and I'm leaving him on my roster and just seeing what happens.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a bad guy to have. What do you think about having him if you're like a quasi rebuild? Getting him and then just hoping he's something that you can trade away next year. So when the time is right.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So he fits well. You know what rosters he fits well on is the ones that me and Scott keep calling the Deshaun Watson candidates, where it's like, you're not really awful and you could be good next year. How about you go collect these pieces, right? But yeah, you could also just hold on to them and see what happens next year. And if he comes out firing for whatever team he's on, you can move him then.
I mean, Shane just mentioned Deshaun Watson, but I mean, the NFL is unpredictable. I mean, Ridley is currently suspended for gambling on his own team. And I've heard all the retorts about how, it was just a parlay and blah, blah, blah. It didn't affect the outcome. I mean, that you just don't know. He's suspended indefinitely. He can apply for reinstatement in March. That doesn't mean he's going to be reinstated. He also left the team before that because of personal issues, which have been overshadowed because he got suspended for gambling. He's going to complete his 2023 season. He'll be almost 29 when he plays his first free agency season. And the reports were he was traded from Atlanta or was going to be traded from Atlanta before he got suspended. So to think he's just going to come back, perform as a wide receiver 2, there's a lot that you're betting on, which has driven his market price down. But I also think if all of that comes to roost and he comes back, he's worth what he's going for. Especially the time to get him isn't going to be in startup drafts too, which that might be gone at this point. But I mean, I've seen him going outside of like the top 75 receivers in Dynasty. And we're talking about players that are like, are you taking people taking like Jalen Tolbert over him? That type of thing where it's like, you're not even guaranteed to get like a usable month from some of the guys that are getting drafted.
Yeah.
So I can acknowledge if he comes back, the reason to have Calvin Ridley is there will be a market swell of, hey, let's go try to buy Calvin Ridley in July. Let's go try to buy him low. What's low? But that's worth, like, I see people saying sell him for any second. Maybe back right when he got suspended because the second was a liquid currency that you could go use. But when you get to like January and February, go try to buy Calvin Ridley. Go try to buy him right now for like 2/3 And people will be like, no, he's going to be worth a second. So I can acknowledge the gamble on him that if everything falls in place, he's going to go up in value. Then you have to make the real decision. Shane, you have Calvin Ridley. Someone says they're going to give you a 23 second, say 207, and a 24 second in April, and he's been reinstated. Are you doing it?
Nope. I'm going to hold.
No.
Okay. So that paints the exact reason why you would say, okay, if I can get him thrown into a trade, I assume you just traded for him from me, Clay. I assume that's what you were looking at.
That's what I was looking at. That's what.
And if I would have thrown in like a 24 second instead of Calvin Ridley, would you have considered it, or was he one of the ones you kind of wanted thrown in with the build?
I kind of wanted him. I kind of wanted him thrown in with my build.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. So let's put this one up here. So this is a quasi question, but it's a 12-team 1 QB PPR start 11, and this was a startup. This is the first year. Tyreek got traded for a 23 first, 23 second, 23 third, a 24 first, and a 24 second. Now the league market is entirely skewed. Your advice? What's your advice, and how long before it corrects? So basically, there was a trade that went down, and now it jacked up the market. And apparently, the guy who gave up all of this for Tyreek is very pleased with it and whatnot. So the market's messed up. What do we do?
I don't see. I never get this how one trade skews the market. So I can't really relate to this because the leagues I'm in, generally one trade doesn't screw the market up. Like even when we make fun of someone, we're like, that was a terrible offer. We do so after we've sent them offers as well. If we felt like this guy that traded for Tyreek gave up too much, instead of making fun of him immediately or her immediately, we'll start sending him or her offers to try to also rob them. But I mean, it's 12 teams. So there's 10 other teams that should correct the market on their own, right? Like it's easy to point out, like, guys, this was one trade out of, or gals, guys and gals, this is one trade out of, I don't know, 100. Well, it just started up. So this is one trade out of 20. Like, there's no reason that it should skew the market. One person, just because one person's willing to overpay doesn't mean that everyone has to.
Yeah, and I think this points back to what we talked about earlier in the show. In a 12-team 1 QB, I mean, would I trade all these picks for Tyreek Hill? No, but it's a 1 QB. So you have to kind of look at what those picks are. A start 11 matters a little more because you probably want to start taking shots in the second round. But in a 1 QB, the picks are devalued, especially if they end up being at the very end of the round. The thing is that the person that did this trade is probably going like, you know what, screw it. I think my picks are going to be at the end. I'm going to win back-to-back championships. I'm giving everything because I want Tyreek Hill, and I think Tyreek Hill is going to smash. But really what he's passing up on is what else could he have got with all of these picks? Could he have gotten 2 players? Could he gotten a better player during the season when he has some information in front of him? So I think that's why the person that asked the question is saying that the market is skewed, because the thought of wiping out your next 2 draft classes for one player that's 28 years old, that's going to a new team, like I can see where there's hesitation there. And now everybody that's trading a guy that's a top 12 receiver, regardless of their age, or a top 12 running back, regardless of their wear and tear, is like, yeah, I want both your future draft classes. No. So I think this is an outlier trade, but it's weird because it's not a terrible price. It's just not where you'd probably want to spend all your picks,
And here's the thing. So as people start rejecting trade offers, and say I own a player in Tyreek Hill's range, and I keep trying to get this for him, and it's not happening, eventually I'm going to realize, oh, that's not the market. That was one trade. I have to lower my expectations if I want to get a trade done. Like, yes, sometimes you'll see questions like, or you'll see comments like, I can't believe such and such went for such and such. And then a month later, such and such went for blah, 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 blah. But that's because the market will correct itself. And by people not making trades, that's the market correcting itself. That's the market saying, no, this trade was out of balance. This was out of whack. We can't actually use this as a template for other trades.
And I'll just add in this because my first league that we started, our home league, I guess it was a few years ago, there was a big trade early on that kind of jacked up the market. right? So this one guy got he traded away Travis Kelce and got this other guy's next 3 first-round picks, second-round picks, and third-round picks, and gave up his like thirds and fourths, right? So the league was like, whoa, now it's all skewed. It did mess up the league in terms of the value of picks being like absurd right after that, because everybody all of a sudden was really protective over their pick. So it does happen. I think part of what you can do is just make a couple small trades here and there, just to get the league back in action and be like, okay, there's some normal trades to be had, even though, like Scott said, this isn't necessarily horrible, but it happens. But the market will correct itself. It helps if you sprinkle in some like basic trades and people start forgetting about this.
I like it.
All right. So we'll hide that one there. Let's go to the comments. Thank you for Delusional Tanner. Traded Damian Pierce for Treylon Burks. Did I do well?
Yes.
Yeah. But I get it. I get it. I can see why people will make this deal, because Damian Pierce, they can start day one, and Treylon is definitely an asset you have to hold, because if you're trying to get out now, this is the type of deal you're getting. And 3 months ago, you would have been laughed at. This would have been a full round difference in rookie draft value versus now it's straight up.
And look, this is what you do. This is how you make moves. This is how you win trades, right? Like, yes, you're taking the risk that Damian Pierce is going to be an outlier for his draft position, his collegiate production, and basically his whole profile. It ends up being good, even though he's on a terrible offense that was terrible at running the ball last year, and didn't particularly throw the ball to the running backs a lot. And he might get pulled off the field during passing plays. But besides all that, this is what you do. You got a wide receiver that was a 104 in the draft, 105 in the draft, for a guy that was 207. Yes, this is what you do when panic is set in over Treylon Burks before we've played a regular season snap. Now, if it's week 15 and Damian Pierce has smashed all season and Treylon Burks has just been riding the bench, then you don't make that deal, because at that point, guess what? There is enough information to go, all right, I got to change what I'm thinking. Damian Pierce only did what we thought he should do. Like, when he got drafted there, the only reason he was being drafted in the second round of rookie drafts is because we thought he could get a starting job for Houston. Now that he did, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, he did what we thought he could do. We set the bar this low. He got there, and now we're going to go, well, guess what? We're double counting that. Now he's a first rounder.
Yep. Well said. Okay, let's move that one out of the way. All right, Scott, touch on this. How often are you doing Manic and Chill this season? Or sorry, I was thinking Dynasty and Chill. Shane and Scott, how often are you doing Manic and Chill this season?
I foresee at least the season's 6 months.
I see about 4 episodes.
I was going to say I see it less. No less than 6 episodes.
They're too busy doing roster reviews now. They don't have time for this. No, I'm kidding.
No, we do. Yeah. So here's how we normally do Manic and Chill now. We don't schedule it. I text Shane. Shane, do you want to do Manic and Chill? Sure. Okay, I'll send you the link in 10 minutes. And there's no rehearsing. It is just what is happening in our day-to-day Dynasty lives, and we talk about it. And we get a lot of the same people that come in and ask questions, and it's a little more, I think, laid back, and we go into, I think, a little deeper into topics than we do on these trade shows. But we'll try to do. We can do one once a month, Shane. We can do that.
I did try to shame Scott into doing a weekly one with me, just so you know, David, because I have no articles to write for DLF except for one article every 2 weeks during the season. I got shut out. So I did try to shame Scott.
You did?
Into doing. Yeah, I tried to remember. I said, hey.
Even I'm doing a weekly article, and I hate writing.
It was a great article. I saw it.
It's great. The Tuesday Transactions. I love it article. It's a great article on whatever you call it, DLF. But no. I'm not really needed. They got a deep roster, so I'm not that good of a writer. I'm just probably one of the best fantasy football writers there is. But I'll be writing every 2 weeks for them. So if I get a chance, I'm going to harass Scott some more and see if we can get some more Manic and Chilling.
Mr. B, 12-team Superflex PPR start 11, gave Jalen Waddle and a 23 third, got Drake London a 23 second and a 23 fourth, rebuilding.
No.
Interesting. I don't hate it. I would like to see. I would have rather given a second and got back a first, even if it was a 24 first, because I want to try to just accumulate as many firsts as I can in a situation like this. It's not horrible. I do think that you're kind of in the same boat with, I mean, what is Drake London's current value / ADP compared to Jalen Waddle's? It's not terribly far off. So I don't hate it. You got a second instead of a third. That could be, if that falls in kind of like the sweet spot tier, like top 4, top 6 in the second round next year. Like that could be a good trade, but I can see both sides. I can see someone going, if they can get off a rookie receiver for a guy they can start day one, then they'll do that and just have to swap a second and third. So decent trade.
Yeah, it just feels kind of lateral to me. And I know that sounds weird because Jalen Waddle has produced at the NFL level and Drake London has not yet, but it does feel lateral to me. Oh, I like Antonio's question here, too. I'm going to start that.
Did you start one? Here, I'll put it up there. Okay. Antonio Gibson, when do you decide to rebuild? After what week and why?
Generally, I know I need to rebuild before the season's even started. Now, there are teams that I might hold on for one more last ride. Not really, because none of my teams are constructed that way. But we'll pretend this mythical team that I have, this mythical team that I have has several old wide receivers, several old running backs, and just basically is a 1 to 2 year window. If everything went right, I'd have a 2 year window. Week 9 is about when I start going. And again, it's going to depend upon your trade deadline in your league, because if your league is stupid to have a trade deadline, I luckily play in leagues without them. But if you play in them, it's obviously going to change it. But me, I hold on to week 9, right? And if and then I look at my record, and if it dictates that I am just absolutely out of it, then fine. Let's start the rebuild. But the thing is, like, we forget, like, fantasy, like, you can make the playoffs generally with 7 wins. And if you look at all the playoff teams, it's usually pretty fairly bunched in that middle zone. But if I'm out of it, obviously by week 9, then it's like, all right, let me just kick these pieces out of here. But the other way to do this is just trade the old people even when you're winning.
Yeah.
You don't get to this position, you see, all right, it's summertime. I got a 28-year-old wide receiver. All right, well, maybe you don't want to be as ageist as me. I have a 29-year-old wide receiver. Let me go ahead and move him now for a down tier down a little and get an extra piece back. But generally, if it's in season, I'm going to say week 9.
I think that's the first thing, is always try to be kind of accumulating assets even on your best teams. Pull from your excess and try to turn it into liquid value so you can use it later. But I think the real answer to this question is there's no way to know when the right time it is. But I think you also, I mean, Shane and I talk about this all the time in the roster reviews. You want to be, the answer for me would be when I can be the first one to start doing it in my league. I want to be the first person to set the market with the prices, or set the market with the players that I know the contending teams are going to want. I don't want to wait until a deal goes down, because then you get stuck with what we saw earlier, where a trade happens and then that's the market. And it could be somebody else that goes, I'm gutting my team, and they sold everything for 50% off. And now there's one less team, because there's one team that just got a sweet deal, right? Now there's one less team to buy. So you kind of want to be the first person to the market to get one of those deals. I mean, how many times have you guys seen trade deals in your league where someone gets a sweet deal, you immediately say, oh, I would do that. Does anyone else want to do it? And there's only one of them. There was only one to be had. You didn't get it. Now you probably have to wait a little more time to do it. You might have to wait 3 or 4 more weeks, and the market's changed by then. So I think you want to be aggressive in finding your process and sending out the deals. Be active. Say, hey, I'm rebuilding. Everything's for sale, but you want to be the first one to do it. I think that's the answer.
No, I totally agree. It's all about the market, and you want to make sure you're controlling it or not behind it. Your league will tell you, or you can tell the league. Okay. Hide the current comment. All right. Let's let's put this up. Just tuned in. Hope you didn't answer something similar earlier. How do you see the Dolphins' backfield snap percentage being split? Coach loves Mostert, apparently. Is Gaskin going to be inactive?
I didn't even think Gaskin was going to make the team, and he made the team, which just shows me, like, Mike McDaniels probably was like, when he got there, he's like, I don't want this guy. Let me sign everybody else in sight that I can. Now he's gotten to see him in practice a little bit. He goes, oh, wait, this guy's kind of good, huh? I hate being a cop out. Mostert's going to get hurt. We already know it. But let's pretend he doesn't. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 50-50 split between him and Evans, to be quite honest with you. And I don't think Gaskins would be inactive because he can do absolutely everything, even if he can't do it particularly to the level that other people would like.
This weekend, our $2,000 drafts, I've been drafting Myles Gaskin in the last couple of rounds for this exact reason. First of all, he made the team when everyone thought Sony Michel was going to make the team.
Yep.
Salvin Ahmed is already injured. So I think Gaskin's absolutely going to be active. And if you believe in the offense / McDaniel turning around the running game, like you want every player on the roster. I don't care if you have to wait 10 weeks. There's a chance, like Shane said, a very good chance you're going to get a Myles Gaskin game one time this year where you can use him. So, I mean, he's somebody I want to collect. I don't think he's somebody that I'm off or worried he's going to be active and inactive. And here's the thing. If he's inactive, I'm picking up Salvin Ahmed too. I want both. Because look at the guys ahead of him. I mean, Chase Edmonds, look at his career numbers, look at his career red zone touches, look at his injury history, look at Mostert's injury history. I mean, I think this is a coach that if you made the roster, it's not just so you can occupy a spot. There's going to be a time once or twice during the year. So give me any Dolphin, even Zaquandre White, who's on the practice squad.
Yep.
Like if you're looking for someone to pick up, give me anybody in this backfield. This is one Eric and I talked about.
Backfields.
Yeah, it's one of the 4 or 5 backfields where you'll just take anybody there and just see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
True. Okay, so let's see. We're getting to an hour and 6 minutes in. We still have 139 eyeballs who have already hit the like, right, Shane? Like police? How are we doing over there? No?
They like the late live stream. It's early for me because I'm in Vegas, but it's they like the late live stream. It's good viewership.
Right. Next week, midnight.
Like the late live stream.
Midnight.
We do midnight next week.
But my wife said I could just stay down here on the couch.
No, that's a good thing. I don't remember. I haven't been, married in a while, but from what I remember, it was fun sleeping on the sofa. It was like an adventure, right?
I'm way too big for a freaking sofa. Okay, let's go to these live ones. Okay, DZ, 12-team Superflex, half PPR, tight end premium, start 10. Give Jalen Hurts, Gabe Davis, and a 23 second. Get Ryan Tannehill, AJ Dillon, Olave, and an early to mid 23 first.
Oh, I want the Hurts side.
Interesting. I guess it really depends on how early that first is going to be. If it ends up being
a QB.
Well,
yeah, that's the other thing. Who he has at QB. I mean, I'm not asking you, Shane, but can you say Chris Olave and Gabe Davis are a wash?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so cancel them out. So it's basically Jalen Hurts in a mid second for AJ Dillon, Ryan Tannehill in a mid first. So equivalent of 2 firsts ish for Jalen Hurts, maybe a little bit more. So 2 firsts for Jalen Hurts, and I assume you're just paying that wherever. Would you pay just 2 firsts right now for Jalen Hurts?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then take the Hurts side. We talked through it. I had to kind of walk through the process a little bit, but yeah, I can get by the Hurts side. Good deal.
Yeah, because if Hurts has a good year, he's right up there, top 5, top 6 could be right. He's like Deshaun Watson.
He's extended. He's Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray.
Right? Yeah, he's the QB 8 right now. Right now, he's the QB 8 in ADP. If he gets an extension, there's no reason that he's outside of the top 5. To be quite frank.
Yeah.
Are there people that would take Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts over Lamar Jackson?
I don't want to say I would, but I would be fine trading Lamar Jackson for Jalen Hurts and another piece.
It's closer than I think people want to talk about because with Lamar's contract situation, I can see where the only difference is like it could implode for Hurts, where it probably only implodes on Lamar because of him and the organization. But if that's a pivot you can make, I mean, what's a equivalent piece you would need back, Shane? Less than a first, but say I give you
me Hollywood
2 seconds. You do it?
Most likely no, because I think I can get more on the market. Even if it's not even if it's not Lamar, you know what I mean? Then I'll go to the Kyler owner and be like, all right, well, what about you? What are you going to give me? See,
Hurts and Devontae Smith for Lamar.
I'd think about it.
Okay.
I'd have to sleep on it.
That's how close it's become, though. A guy that's probably not worth a
close.
23 first right there could get the deal done.
It's gotten close. Okay, so we'll eventually cut this thing off, but there's a couple ones here. Casey Morse. I know you guys just did a Sutton segment recently. Yes, we did. Hopefully you guys like that. I thought that was pretty solid video, right?
I enjoyed it.
Pretty strong one. You know what's funny though, guys? And I gotta post like a link to the what are we calling them? Like the lost videos. So we record like some shows, and there are ones that just never got edited. I mean, I can take some credit for that. But anyway, maybe I'm gonna make them unlisted, but post them in the community chat so you can at least see what we were talking about. They're gonna be raw. If you want to unsubscribe, be like, this is hot garbage and whatever. But Isaiah McKenzie did not make the Sutton show, is what I'm getting at. Maybe I'll shoot that over to you. Okay.
We did an Isaiah McKenzie one.
We did, yeah. And Shane doesn't even remember like these lost shows.
I just remember the Deshaun Watson one I did, and that we did several DeAndre Swift ones. That's all I remember.
No, we did one. We did one DeAndre Swift, and then a crappy DeAndre Swift trade show. It was just such hot garbage. I couldn't edit it and make it good.
We did a epic Raiders video.
It was great.
Oh my God.
I thought,
and then awesome. It sat, and then I think the Raiders like moved
Traded
to another.
Everyone.
They moved to another city, so we just scrapped it.
Yeah. They did. Okay, I know you guys did a Sutton segment recently. I traded Sutton, Kyron Williams, and a 23 second for Gabe Davis, and likely late 23 first before the game Thursday. It's a 12-team PPR Superflex start 12.
Yeah, I don't care about Kyron Williams. I think even before we found out that he's going to get surgery again, like I don't even know if he's a real person at this point, because he's just been on the IR/unable to practice list since he's come out of college. Again, don't know that he's real. I can't verify that. But look, you're getting a 23 first for Sutton is enough for me, to be quite honest with you. And then to get the ascending god, Gabe Davis on top of that is just, yeah, that's bananas. You could go trade Gabe Davis for a 23 first right now after Thursday's game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real question with Gabe Davis was, is he good enough to garner enough market share to make him a wide receiver 2? And even if he only hits 18%, which is what he hit in the first game.
16.
Okay. But if he hits just that, the offense can carry him to essentially what Courtland Sutton has been for his career. Now, Courtland Sutton could smash, but I look at this as like when I'm starting a starting lineup, like Gabe Davis and Courtland Sutton are occupying one of the same slots. So I'm essentially swapping out a neutral warp spot in my lineup for a first and a second. So great trade. Probably feels better about the trade after what we saw from Gabe.
Yeah.
And yeah, great trade. Well done, Casey Morse. Well done.
I agree. Okay, so let's put this in. I have an offer in my inbox. So if you have an offer in your inbox, we'll try to catch it. Put it in the chat so we can accept or reject it. I have an offer right now. Send Cam Akers for an early 23 second. So are you giving Cam Akers for an early 23 second right now? Are you getting out?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I would take any second, only because I think we've seen Cam Akers can come back and be okay. But I think and maybe this is just the way I play Dynasty, I think we have seen enough narrative about Cam Akers thus far. The odds that what does he have to do now to bounce back where someone will be giving firsts? That's my question is what does he have to do now to overcome what we saw over the last 6 months, where up to 10 days ago, he wasn't even able to get through a full practice. And then he goes out there, looks clearly worse than the other running back on his team on an offense that, I know it's overreaction season, but I kind of look at this and just say, like, what is he going to have to do to be clearly worth a first? To me, it's double what he had to do on opening night.
I think by the time he would do enough to be worth a first, he's not going to be worth a first, because then 2023 is coming. and those backs are going to be pushing them. Maybe like a 2024 first. I don't know. What do you think, Shane?
It's weird because I was never a Cam Akers guy. You know what I mean? Like even coming out of the rookie class, he was the fifth of the big five for me. I wasn't that impressed with his rookie season, even after he had 3 good games. And I know we are anointing him the next big thing. I wasn't impressed. I mean, I was impressed obviously when he came back last year from the Achilles, but he looked awful. And from what I saw, he 3 carries and a complete whiff
0
on a block.
yards, yeah.
He didn't look particularly good. And Darrell Henderson, by the way, put on some weight, right? Everyone noticed that Thursday night. He's a little chubby. I'm not trying to body shame. I'm just saying he's kind of built like Sony Michel now. That said, yeah, I'd probably kick Cam Akers off for a second because he was already a guy you couldn't get a first for anyway, to be quite honest with you. Everyone was already skeptical of him anyway. And it doesn't look great, Bob.
Well, let me ask you this.
Are you trading? Go ahead, Scott.
No, I was saying, who would you rather have, Darrell Henderson or Cam Akers?
Yeah, my question was to be similar. Would you trade Darrell Henderson for a 23 second right now?
I mean, I hate being cop-out guy, so let me just take a stance. No, I'll hold on to Darrell Henderson because he's the guy that I'll be trying to trade a second for later in the season when I'm like, oh, I need a starting running back, and he's got a 70-30 stranglehold on that Rams backfield.
I mean, Cam Akers or Rashad Penny?
I'll go Cam Akers there because I know Rashad Penny's story. I've been through it.
Okay, Cam Akers or Devin Singletary?
Singletary, motor.
So, but my point is, I mean, you're getting up to you get laughed at if you try to send Cam Akers for Tony Pollard or Chase Edmonds or Ramondre Stevenson. So he's in this very expensive backup range.
Yeah.
So the only thing keeping his value is that at one time he was in a much higher tier. But like, honestly, can you get Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Cam Akers? Probably not. Like that he's basically had a Clyde Edwards-Helaire falling, and I just don't necessarily think he's going to get it back. He's essentially just a really expensive handcuff that you want if you already have. But man, if someone's paying me seconds for those guys, and I know I can trade a third for 2 spot starts during the year, I just have a hard time saying I'll get out on Cam Akers and I'll buy guys that are cheaper that I think give me a similar warp impact. So it's just get ahead of the market. If you're just saying I'm going to hold, what are you really doing? You know, so I would take the second, especially an early second. Do it.
Yeah. So you've said warp a couple times. Let's go to Zachary's question here. No, you've talked about warp, but it goes over my head a bit. Can you succinctly say it, Scott? There's a challenge for you. Warp, go for it.
Well, it stands for wins over replacement player. So just Google that, wins over replacement player. There's a lot of articles that I've read that are out there that have been published. There's some stuff you can buy. There's some stuff for free. We did release 2 podcasts on Destination Devy talking about warp. Eric and I did like 3 hours talking about warp. And essentially, if you just search warp on Twitter, there's a bunch of stuff that comes up, and it's visual, like graphs where you can actually see what we're talking about. It's hard to like explain it, but essentially what you're measuring is the wins above replacement value in a given league. And if you think about replacement value, you can roughly say replacement value in a 12-team league, 6 teams make the playoffs. You can almost use that as like the median range. So you're wanting to be above replacement value at all of your starting spots, or as much as you can. So it comes down to how much above the replacement value is each one of your starting spots given you. So when we're talking about warp, when we're like wide receivers, if you look at the historical wide receiver warp graph, it's very flat from like wide receiver 12-ish, even lower, like wide receiver 10-ish to like wide receiver 35, 40. So essentially what you're doing is you are capitalizing on the fact that people, the market, overvalues and undervalues players in that range, probably because one is 23 and another one is 29, and Shane says sell the 29-year-old. Yet in a short window, you can see where the Mike Evans is going to absolutely give you the same warp or more warp than Rashad Bateman in a 1 to 2 year window. Yep. So really what you're paying for if you make that swap is security, upside, dynasty value, whatever, but impact on your team, it's very minimal. So I think that's the easiest way to explain it, but there's just so much out there. Zachary, to go and look. Like it's more of a visual concept than explaining it.
It helps it helps to see it for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Real quick, I just want to point this out there too. I know people make fun of baseball all the time. Baseball was actually the first analytic to actually use this, and it was WAR. And then fantasy football people found it, stole it, called it something else, which is fine, which is what we always do. But it was actually stolen from baseball because baseball is actually a very analytical sport. If you want to actually want to ever watch baseball again, but why would you want to when football's on? To be quite honest with you, but it actually originated in baseball.
A-Rob, are you selling him for a second?
Yes, yeah, I was selling A-Rob for seconds last week. So after he just looked like he gave up again and or was open on every route, I can't tell which narrative is correct. I'm probably selling him for a second.
I don't think so because his usage said that he should be better. Is he capable of being better? That's the thing. If we sit here and say targets are earned, you can tell me he ran a route on 97% of the dropbacks. He played all but 2 snaps. He got 2 targets, and one of them was a garbage target at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So if this continues, the people that say, "Oh, last year was an anomaly, he quit on the Bears," they're going to be taking an L a little bit because maybe he isn't good enough to garner targets. But I'm not smart enough to say, "Oh, he was open on this play and Stafford didn't look his way." Like, you saw a lot of that, but I don't think I'd sell for a first. But I love the idea of I'd sell for a first, but I don't think I'd sell for a second. But I love the idea of pivoting and either buying him in a trade where, like the Gabe Davis, if I can get Gabe Davis and a second for Allen Robinson and a first, that's one of those strong warp years where I'll just bet that my receiver can get closer to Gabe Davis and I'll take the pick difference. But I'll also throw Allen Robinson in a second in a trade to get a receiver that I think is going to be guaranteed to give me a little more warp. So I think it works both ways, but no, not straight up for a pick. You're getting no leverage there. It's a coin flip, and you're probably on the wrong side of the coin flip more than you're the right side.
Just my thinking on A-Rob is, as opposed to Akers, is even with the bad game, I don't like him less than I liked him before this week. You know what I mean? Just because his game, he shit the bed. He shit the bed in a different way than Akers. At least it feels like Akers. You know what I mean? You're coming back from a severe knee injury, doesn't have burst, et cetera, et cetera. Just if I was selling A-Rob for a second before this week, I'm still selling him for a second. If I was buying him for a second, I'm still buying him for a second. Although I probably will try to throw a third at someone instead and be like, "Did you see him? He's done."
Well, and here's the problem with this range of receivers is if you line it up with the warp argument, like honestly, is there a big difference between Hunter Renfrow and Allen Robinson production wise? And Hunter Renfrow has never even been like in a conversation to be worth a first. So like there's trades like that where if you could trade Hunter Renfrow or you could trade Allen Robinson in a third for Hunter Renfrow in a second, that's a deal where you could look and say you're essentially swapping one for the other and getting a pickup grade. So I think there's a difference in how you go about doing this, because there are receivers where I can say can produce in the top 40, and if A-Rob is wide receiver 28, what's the difference? None.
Yep. Just heard my kid crying upstairs. My wife got out of bed to forget it. I'm definitely going to be on this couch. Inbox offer. 12-team Superflex PPR, start 10. Give Mark Andrews, get Jonnu Smith. There's a name we don't hear very much, right? A 23 first and second, both mid. So give Andrews, get Jonnu Smith, and a 23 first and second mid.
Gotcha.
No, a year or two ago, I would have said, you know what, this is a good price to get for a tight end. Not the positional advantage. No, now I'm taking the positional advantage. I think Andrews is clearly the tight end 2 in Dynasty with an elite season that he just posted, along with 2 really, really good seasons before that. Like if there is another Travis Kelce, it's Mark Andrews. And forget about Kyle Pitts. Like Kyle Pitts could be Travis Kelce for the next decade. But I think if there's another Travis Kelce where it could be the tight end 1 for the next 4 or 5 years, it's Andrews. So I would do this. I would take the Andrews side. I'm not giving him up for picks.
Yeah, I was just basically going to go down the same path. I'm taking Andrews here. Positional advantage. He's one of the top 3 tight ends at worst. You could say he's tight end 3, and most likely he's tight end 2.
And indefinitely, you can Sharpie him in as top 4, top 3, top 4 dynasty tight end for a long time. Okay, we'll hide that there. So don't do it, Brett. Okay. All right, let's go for what? Two more questions here. What do you think?
All right.
Okay, first we're gonna throw this shout out to us, Big Barosaurus, best fantasy football content. You guys are the best. Saving my money for a roster review. Well, we just paid you to write that, so I guess essentially you're getting a discounted roster review. So just save a little bit. Okay, we will go back here into live. Can you star 1 for me, guys? I'm gonna grab one, and if you could star 1, that'd be great. This is a great one here. Give Sutton in a 23-second, got Judy in a 23 first. I mean, do that kind of stuff all day.
Yeah, you do that.
You got the better wide receiver, in my opinion. We'll see what happens. I can't wait to watch some freaking football tomorrow.
Well, that's what's great about that trade is it's a process trade, and you got the better player. So just because you could even use your player evaluation skills, but no, it's a great process trade.
Yeah, you start one. We're going to do one more because I just saw inbox offer competing team, 12-team PPR, 1 QB. Give Lance and Kamara for Lamar and my 23 first.
So he's getting his 23 first back in the deal. Is that how I'm reading this? Is that correct?
It's a 1 QB. I'd rather have Lamar over Lance, and I'm getting a 23 first for Kamara at. I think this is one of those.
It's a late 23 first because he said he's a competing team.
If he can get by at running back, I like the idea of being able to buy another piece during the season. So if it's one of those leagues where like he could literally maybe buy, here's the thing, you could buy Kamara back. Kamara is going to be a popular trade target for people if he's on a team that falls out of it because they know that suspension's probably coming next year. There's going to be a lot of people that are looking to get out of Kamara if they fall out of the playoffs. So you could literally get Lamar for Lance and then maybe get this trade back. Like you could get Kamara for a first and he smashes the rest of the way down the stretch. So I would do this.
Yep. Okay. We're going to do one more here. Start a couple. Blitzing Buzzard. How do I not pick that one? All right. 14 teams, start 11. Gave 3 mid to late 23 firsts. Got Breece Hall and ETN.
Look, I'm such a Breece Hall stan. This feels like I shouldn't be allowed to answer this. And I love ETN. I mean, look, it's a lot of capital to give up. It's 2 starters and an start 11 though. What could you have gotten with those 3 firsts? A lot, but I'm okay with this.
A 14-teamer, start 11 with the potential of the quarterback class next year. I'm not saying I want to pick quarterbacks, but I think if we get 4 top 20 quarterbacks next year, all of them have like potential elite fantasy traits. I want those picks. It's nice to get Breece and ETN, but I'm keeping the first. And I'd rather go. Okay, let me pick
one of them and keep a first or 2. You know.
Or how about I have 3 firsts? I'm willing to move 1 for a running back, and I don't need 2 running backs. So I think I'd rather keep the 3 firsts. They can be better spent elsewhere.
Yeah, and with that being said, we only have what we see in front of us. This 1 sentence worth of stuff. So
correct, no context.
No context. So
if he says I have 9 firsts and
exactly,
I have a stacked team and I need 2 running backs, then okay, that's different. But with no context,
I implied the context. I got the context. I read in between the lines there. I took that to mean that he does have multiple picks. He's got a really strong roster up and down, and he's just looking for the final nails in the coffins of his league mates. So, yeah,
there we go, guys. Before we say goodbye, look down and if you're on the YouTuber. Hit that like for us, please. We'd appreciate that. Guys, we got football tomorrow.
I know. I'm pumped.
More football.
I'm pumped. And I just want to thank everybody for the last, we've been going for almost a year now on Trades in 5. And we started last October. And I just want to thank everybody that tunes in every Saturday night. I mean, we get 150, 200 people viewing every weekend. And we have gosh, 50 to 100 questions a week we can't even get to. I mean, we could live stream for 10 hours without running out of questions. So thank you to everybody that's tuned in. It's been awesome.
Yep.
For sure. And we're going to do something cool. The Miles Sanders video, I think we saw it was like the first week of October, like the first episode we ever did. We're going to figure out something to do on the 1 year anniversary for our first show. But yeah, you guys are awesome. Hit us up if you want to roster review, you want to talk details on that. Again, dynastytradesin5@gmail.com or DM me on Twitter @tradesin5. If you send me a message, I see it. I may have gotten a few of them. I will get back to you, I promise. And I've got your timestamps. What else? That's it. Thank you guys. You're awesome. We'll see you. We'll see you soon. Maybe Tuesday live stream. We'll see.
Be chill, everybody. Thank you again.
Later. Good night.
Peace out.
Peace out.